Hello, you amazing friends. I'm so honored on this beautiful Saturday evening to be live streaming with amazing Aileen and Wayne A'Vard. Great having you with us. And I just want to give a big round of applause to our viewers. So if you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. We love you, Aileen and Wayne. Aileen, let's open up with you. We had a great presentation the other night. You rocked our networking event. Tell us about how you help kids and a bit about you. What's been happening, Aileen?
Thank you very much, Ed. I really appreciate the opportunity that you have given to us. And more importantly, it's given the opportunity for the young kids to have a voice and for them to be seen and heard, for an opportunity for them to build their confidence and resilience. And I think that was something that really resonated with the audience, because when we heard statistics where we have 48% of kids been bullied, and 62% people have witnessed it and did not do anything. I think our audience, your audience, really resonate with them. And I just want to say thank you, Ed, for giving the young kids a voice. So thank you.
Oh, pleasure. We're going to come back to the bullying topic. I want to bounce over to amazing Wayne A'Vard. Now, Wayne, we were talking off camera. Wayne historically has been a bit behind the scenes, but now we're yanking Wayne and sticking him on centre stage. Wayne, thank you for working so hard behind the scenes. Please tell us a bit about you and what you've been working on, Wayne.
In the last 15 years, very much so on this youth leadership program, and being able to transform these young children's lives, particularly from a point of view of children with autism. We have many children in the class. We deal with those. I deal with children that have been a victim of bullying and have been an instigator of it only because they couldn't express themselves. And you see that transformation in them. And that's what keeps us motivated and keeps us going. And it's become a real passion for both of us.
Wow. And I just got to touch on this as well. You're a veteran as well, Wayne. Tell us a bit. Firstly, thank you for your service. Tell us a bit about your military career, because I find this absolutely fascinating.
When I left school, yes, thanks, Ed. When I left school in 1965, I went into the military for 9 years and served in the Royal Australian Navy as a technician, and came out, went building for the next 20 years, then went into manufacturing and a few other things. But as I said, in the last 15 years, has been heavily involved with the youth leadership program, which we run in schools. And I think if I just recollect, I think we've been in about 26 to 28 different schools over those 15 years.
Wow. Just incredible. Beautiful, Wayne. Absolutely love it. I want to bounce back to you, Aileen. Aileen, tell us a bit more about your history. Then I want to ask you about what makes bullies tick and share some of my stories. But tell us a bit more about your history and backstory, Aileen, because I think it's pretty rich and interesting.
Well, it goes back a long way. Well, I think what really started me on this building confidence, it was I did not have the confidence within myself. I found that I did not have the courage to even put up my hand and participate in school. And because of that, my whole primary school and the secondary school, I felt I have missed out so much in life. And you know that when you miss out in life, you think for yourself, it's okay, you will soon pass. But somehow, when you don't address pattern like that within your own life, it passes on down to your children. And it's when I saw that in my own kid that did not have the courage and so scared. And when they come back from school because they did not have the courage to put up their hand, and they said they're useless, they're good for nothing. And that was when I decided, enough is enough. I may not do it for myself, but I certainly not going to stand by and not do that for my own children. Then subsequently, when I heard there's more bullying, I thought, how about we take this and do something for other kids? Not just do it for our own, let's do it for other kids. And that's how we got started with this program. And it's just like what Wayne say is, it just impact and transform kids who would otherwise never have a voice. And they could tell themselves anything. You know, that's what it's all about.
Wow. And it's funny you bring this up because on that note, bullying is a very interesting topic to me because, and again, I don't want to talk about myself too much because that's not why we're here. And to our fans who've checked in, welcome. If you've just come in, please smash that like, sharing, comment, connect with Aileen and Wayne. The biggest thing that interests me is, and I'll give a bit of backstory to give some context. I lived a very normal life up until about the age of 10 years old. At roughly the age of 10 years old, my mum got terminal cancer. She lived, so she's still around. Amazing lady. She had terminal cancer a few times. And what unfortunately happened, though, is my family completely fell apart. And through a few bad twists of fate and a few bad decisions, I had no family, so I actually wound up in the foster system. Now, what was interesting is that I spent probably quite a few years in the foster system, and I was later reunited with my family. Now, in the foster system, I got into fights all the time. So for those that have been in the foster system, it's a bit like going to prison, right? But you're a 10-year-old and you always think, what did I do wrong? Anyway, I used to get bullied a lot at the start. But what happened to me was interesting is that I got prison manners after being in so many fights and that. I would actually beat up all the bullies all the time. And albeit I never attacked people, I would never attack anyone who didn't deserve it. But in defeating the bullies, in a way, I became one. It's sort of like no one bullied me after a while. I'd be bullying them. But I realized whilst I was slaying the dragon, I became a bigger, meaner dragon myself. Aileen, I'd love to hear your reactions to that and then some of Wayne's reactions to that. What happened to me and how you've seen that in other people, or kids, I should say.
And that is unfortunate. Sometimes where bullies end up justifying their actions and they're unconsciously doing it, like they are protecting themselves, and they say do it more and more. They think it become like the norm. But when we actually teach somebody to be able to express themselves and saying that this is not right, then we could stop perpetuating the cycle of bullying. And that is why we teach them to express themselves. We teach them to talk about their self-worth. Why do you want to be leaders? If you want to be leaders in school, you need to take care of other people. So when we teach them the ability to speak, and we have many cases where we have children who had been sent to school, who had been sent to principal's office every week, because they just strike their hand out unintentionally. But because they strike their hand, they've been a big kid. We have this particular kid who's a big kid. Every week he end up going to the school office, the principal's office. And by going through this program, he was telling his story, and his story was so fascinating that his classmates start listening in. And because they was listening in, they were now talking with him instead of annoying him. He never get to be reported at school. And that is how sometimes when kids do not have a voice, all they do is just strike.
Interesting.
Unintentionally, it's like you say, you end up being the bigger dragon unintentionally, not wanting to pick on the other kid, but it's just to protect yourself.
But one thing I will say, though, is I only directed it at people that deserved it. So I guess that's a justification. I suppose even as an adult, I'm still justifying it, aren't I? I'm still justifying it. Let's hear Wayne's reactions. I'd love to hear Wayne's reactions. Wayne, feel free to condemn me if I deserve it.
Okay, thanks, Ed. That is a very memorable occasion, that one there with that fellow there, because he actually found his voice. But on a personal front, because our children, we have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, my sons were subjected, because they're more Asian than they are Caucasian, and they were subjected to quite a bit of bullying. And I said to my son, I said, "You've been learning karate for many years. You're a black belt." I said, "Why don't you protect yourself?" He said, "Because I can't go against what my sensei says. You mustn't use it to harm anyone." I said, "Well, I think you should have a talk to him and just explain the situation." So what had happened was a couple of kids outside of the school started bullying him on the way home. He just turned around and just lifted them up against the wall, one hand in each hand, and shoved them up against the wall. And he said, "You just back off." They dropped him. He just let him go. And from that moment on, the word got around the secondary school. It's a school of about 1,200 children. Don't mess around with Jordan A'Vard. And that was the only thing he did. He didn't punch him. He didn't hit him. He just lifted him up, one in each hand, and just lifted him up against the wall and told him to back off.
Wow.
But that same child today is a most articulate person. He's very forthcoming with his viewpoint, and I think that's the greatest thing. He's never, and that's the only occasion where he's had to use physical force to end an argument, but he doesn't need to do that today. It's all verbal. You know, if you look back in history, some of the greatest orators in the world, Winston Churchill and Robert Menzies here in Australia, wonderful orators, very articulate, very knowledgeable, and they could demolish someone's argument just like that. I think that's what we're trying to achieve with these children.
Now I am going to push back slightly, right? Because maybe I'm going to push back. Now, by the way, firstly, Jordan is a cool. I've been very lucky. I think I met Jordan once or twice at a few of our events, and he's a very very intelligent and handsome guy. So if you are watching, Jordan, we love you, right? Now, and the only thing I wish Jordan did a bit more. I thought you were going to tell me something cool, like Jordan did a roundhouse kick, or he Chuck Norris a few kids, or he threw one off a bridge. So anyway, I was hoping for something more, but okay, at least we got a bit.
I can add to that, Ed, if you like.
Yeah, please.
There was an occasion when he was going for one of his belts with his karate instructor, and I knew the karate instructor for quite a few years. And he was a man in his 40s by that time, very experienced. And Jordan, I think, was at that stage was about 16. And had the padding on, and of course he got in there, and Jordan turned out and did a roundhouse kick, kicked the instructor right in the chest. He stepped back, and I said to him later on, I said, "I didn't see that coming." He said, "No, I didn't either." He said, "What Jordan lacks in experience, he has in speed." And he said, "I've never felt someone kick me so hard in all my life as an instructor." It was a pretty impressive thing to sit there, and a moment of being very, very proud, of course.
And it has to be said, he's half Asian, martial arts. He's obviously Keanu Reeves. It has to be said. He's obviously a dangerous Keanu Reeves. Now, I want to push back on you slightly, Wayne. Then I want to push back on Aileen here because, and I think I'm wrong, but I'm still going to say what I think anyway, right? The problems that I've had, and I want to talk about this as relates to kids and bullying, is what if you've done all that? What if you've tried speaking to people? What if the system won't help you? Because this was my situation, the situation I was in. Now, I get it. If you're at a school, you would help them. And again, I'm so glad you're in the schools. But what if you're not around? What if a kid's in a school where the system won't help them and talking to bullies doesn't work? What's the next level of step then? Like, do they have to use physical violence to defend themselves? Because the reason why I say it is because the system didn't help me. I had to use physical violence myself to protect myself. What are your thoughts on that one, Wayne? Then I want to hear your reaction, Aileen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying this is what happened.
In my own case, because I was subjected to that at secondary school quite a bit. And because I was a very quiet person, I was the one that sat down the back of the classroom, never put his hand up. And it was like a shrinking violet. So I was a soft target for a couple of the bullies. And they used to torment me on a daily basis, but there was no one there I could turn to. And it was a very large secondary school. And I just learned to deal with it. At a cost, of course. You lose your self-confidence. It takes you a lot to gain that again. And if I bring that right forward today, when I see children in a classroom, and we're talking of children of 10 and 11 years old in the final years of primary school, when I see that, I connect with those children. I connect with the ones that sit down the back and have got their arms crossed and they're looking down and not looking up so they don't get selected to speak. And they are the very ones I focus on, because the other ones that are quite confident, they will grow by themselves just being in that environment. But it's the ones that shrink down the back. I want to make a difference in their lives.
Wow. Brilliant. Brilliant. Love it, Wayne. Aileen, what's your reaction? What do you think of what Wayne said and, of course, what I've said? I'd love to hear your reactions, Aileen.
As you heard it in Wayne, it really caused his confidence, his self-esteem, and that's why over time, when he see kids destroying things, he felt that these are really in some way bullies who are just so frustrated in life, just go and trash things. If they don't trash people, they trash things, they trash community things. And I think that was why that one Sunday morning that got him so angry, and I think in a way it was him like resonating with all his hurt and his pain. And I say, if we continue doing that, we will be just perpetually, it's not going to make a difference. The only way that we're going to heal ourselves is by doing something good for others. And that is how he got started with this program. Let's teach the kids something. Even if we may not teach those bullies that trash things, we can at least impact other people. And if we do good, maybe this goodness can impact the children and other children. And other people may want to come on board. And that's exactly how how it got us started so passionately.
And that's the interesting part. And that's to me what I love about and this penny only dropped with me the other day. And oh my God, we got Jordan A'Vard with us. Jordan, we love you. I don't know if Jordan heard this before, but your proud dad was telling you about you roundhouse kicking instructors and that type of thing. So there you go. So we love you, Jordan. Great having you with us. The bit that I find interesting is that, and this is to me, it only occurred to me the other day that this is what you guys are doing. I think what's so powerful, Wayne and Aileen, is that what you're doing is plugging that deficiency in the system that we had. Like, for example, Wayne and I, interestingly comparing Wayne and I suffered from a similar situation, and I took it head on and used physical violence to deal with it. Right now, these days I'm almost 6 feet tall. I come from an Arabic background. I'm very good at hand-to-hand combat. I'm hardly a Green Beret, but for as a kid, I certainly was, right? And what I love about what you guys are doing is that you guys are helping plug a deficiency in the system, because we just don't see anything like this to look after kids these days. I mean, the kids get the education, but they don't get anything about self-confidence or how to protect from bullies. And I got to say, I love where you're going, Aileen. Tell us a bit about your program, and I want to hear what Wayne's reactions.
Okay, so the program is basically an 8-week program where we get so we try and keep the group to about 15 to 20 people, where everybody gets a chance, all the kids, no matter what. In the 90 minutes, everyone gets to do a role, even a simple role like get up and introduce your name or say two words about yourself. For some shy kid, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
But imagine doing that every week, and then you get to do simple role and get up and report a time. Get up and introduce yourself and report what you're doing in that 90 minutes. It's scary, but over time, you build confidence. And why we do it in the 8 weeks? Because usually the smart kid and the bright kid will constantly be putting their hands up normally. But they were the one who would always shine. But these the quiet one that we really encourage. And they are the one that will shine at the end of this program. And that's why the 8 weeks, you come to a midway point. By the 4th and the 5th week, you start to see the corn that is popping, that is coming to ripe. And they would then just burst away. And that is why it's so impressive with this program. And I think when I'm sure you would love to add more about this program.
Yeah, certainly can. I think one of the story you just told before about the young vertically challenged young lad was always in the principal's office. It's a remarkable story, and it's one that I draw a lot of inspiration from, and I use that in the weekly sessions we have with the children. We are currently working with about 100 children at a primary school at the moment, where we do back-to-back sessions of about an hour and a half. Of course, an hour and a half is a long time to keep the children's focus, so you've got to break it up a little bit. But we do different aspects about impromptu speaking, prepared speeches, because, for instance, an impromptu speaker will give them a question. Now, one of the reasons we do this is I explained to them, I said, you're in grade 5 at the moment, year 5. I said, next year you are the top of the roost, and they're going to be looking at both school captains, house captains. I said, when you apply for those, you're going to have to go for an interview. And the interviewer, generally the principal, is going to ask you the questions. It's an impromptu question. How you go about this, what you're learning in the session that we're going to give you now, will be appropriate for you in this interview. But it doesn't stop there. When we finish this 8-week program, I said, you have the building blocks for your future life. Because when you go from this level to the next level of education, you're going to have these questions asked you. You're going to the university, you're going to the workforce. It's always going to be an impromptu question. How you answer it and how you structure yourself and communicate is a really important thing, what you get out of here. And the thing that we impress on the children is, don't sit down the back like I did 70 years ago, 60 years ago. Don't stand down the back and think everything's going to change just because I'm sitting here. You've got to participate. You've got to jump into the pool and learn to swim. And that's what we apply to the children there, to impress on them. It's participation. And I think, as Tony Robbins has always said, repetition is the formula for success. And I use those quotations for the children as well.
Just on that note, and I'll ask you this one as well, Aileen. Now, I get all that. I understand all that. Like, if a kid's quite well-spoken, no problem. If a kid's in the middle, I want to ask you, let's say a kid's let's go take it a little bit extreme here. They've been abused in their own lives, right? They're quiet, they're withdrawn. In the most toughest case, how do you bring them to the front? How do you get them to come out of their shells? Because, again, I suppose I'm reflecting on my own loss here. No one helped me come out of my shell. I did it through, I hate to say, physical violence, right? Again, I only targeted people that deserved it. But again, there's me justifying physical violence. So you can see the twisted thinking I'm showing here. I was going to ask, Wayne, how do you reach out to the most withdrawn, distraught character or student? How do you get through to them, Wayne?
Be there for them. I remember at a little country school up in the Dandenong Ranges. It's a small school, less than 100 children. And there's one young lad, he was so terrified about speaking. And he was up there, couldn't open his mouth. He just kept staring into the distance. So I went and stood next to him. And I just leaned across and whispered in his ear. And I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, I'm here for you. When you're ready to speak, I'm here for you. Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to disappear. But I just want you to know that I'm here for you. And with that, he spoke. And at the end of the course, I couldn't believe the transformation in that young man. And I came away from that moment thinking, wow, what's the word I'm looking for? What a wonderful feeling you get when you can help an individual or another human being and you make a difference in their life. And that's where our passion for Aileen and myself comes from, and what motivates us to keep doing this year after year.
Brilliant. Aileen, please, I'd love to hear your reaction and thoughts, and perhaps even a tough case kid that you worked with.
The types of kids that I work with are generally they're not so much like the withdrawn one, but the one that are very loud and noisy and very distractive. So we
So
seem
two
to
opposite
attract,
extremes. Wayne does the
yeah,
quiet kids, you do the loud mouths. Is that kind of
so
how it goes, right?
we attract that kind of kids that they're very distractive in the classrooms. They keep always talking. When they get a chance to come to the front, suddenly they're just frozen. And they're frozen. So again, what I would do is stand next to them, and even they may have to they're prepared their speeches written out. We just ask him to read after me, just to read after me the speech that you've written. And that's why it is about drawing them out, because it's like the limelight is shined on them. They do not know how to act. It's without limelight, they are the distractions. They are the boisterous one. And these are the people that tends to become bully later on in life. But when we give them that space to speak, totally has the space to transform themselves, because later on we'll give them the feedback. Even the feedback is that even if they're the most disruptive person, the feedback we give to them is, first of all, we got to start off with price, and then an improvement and a price. So the price we'll give them is say, you are actually very courageous. I love how you stand up in front and speak. An area of improvement for you is to pay attention and do not disturb other people. Just focus on speaking. You, well done, excellent. Do more in the future. So we give them that kind of feedback. We will not tell them you suck or anything like that. We will say, well done. And because of this feedback they get, they felt validated and supported. And that is why this program is all about giving them the self-esteem, the feel good about themselves. And that's why they want to do what they want to do. And stay in the 8 weeks. They look forward to the 8 weeks.
Wow, brilliant. Wayne, what are you thinking, Wayne?
I just want to add on to what Aileen said there. Over the course of the 8-week program, we just drop a few little hints to bring their interest up, because I said on the final day, we're going to do a contest, a speaking contest, and we're going to pick out around about 10 to 12 speakers out of the whole group, the whole lot. We bring all the groups together, and we run 2 contests during the day, one in the morning, one in later in the afternoon, because you've got 6 grades we've got to deal with. So we split them into 3 and then 3 later on. And there's those children that are very eager, and those wants to develop their skills. They've learned a little bit more. And I said, well, now we're going to open up for you, and we're going to have a contest, and we're going to have judges there. I said, now you're going to be competitive. There's prizes here. There's trophies there about who is the best speaker. And this gets the kids really motivated. And there's those that are natural speakers. They'll just want to get up and talk more. And there's others that are just coming out of the shell and they want to actually improve. So we always run our first, second, and third. And we also have another trophy for the most improved out of each class that we run. And generally that's up to us, myself and our youngest son, to actually, because he runs a program with us as well, to select the most improved. And it's not always the most confident speaker. It's the ones that have come from way back to where they are today.
Brilliant. Now, it's interesting, and talking to your growth and expansion, I noticed that you've been doing this for a while. Aileen recently spoke at one of our events, and a bunch of people from our community joined your project. They said, yep, count me in. Now, I've noticed that you're saying to take off that. I'm going to call this a movement. I don't think it's a program. I think this is a movement, right? With your new movement that's taking off, Aileen, to anyone that's watching, that's interested in joining your movement or whatever the case may be, tell us all a bit more about it, how they can speak to you, how they can get involved, and what it might actually mean to them.
Thanks, Ed. How well, because this is such a hands-on program, so we need to have trainers so that we could take this program further into more schools. And at the moment, it's really Wayne and our younger son, doing this. But to do that, we would love to have trainers so we could get you to run this program at the school for 15 kids at a time. Commitment is an 8-week program. But also we need sponsors so that we could run this program for the school, because the school have very little funding to run this program. So we need these sponsors, and sponsors, corporate leaders, or somebody that really saying that I couldn't do this for my kids. Maybe I could support this program and have this program run at their kids' school or something like that. So we're looking for sponsors, trainers, and schools that who wants to have this program to come and reach out to us so that we could help them to build confident, resilient children. But more importantly is to build our leaders for tomorrow.
Brilliant. Wayne, your additions?
Yes. Well, I've been instrumental in approaching some of these corporate these companies about sponsorship, and one recently I've known her for a few years. As she's a real estate agent, and so I rang her up and I said, look, because I've done a bit of a business with a company on an ongoing basis, and I said, look, over the last 15 years, I said, my wife and I have been running this program, and I told her a bit about it, but I said, we're retired now, and we don't have the sponsorship from our own company to pay for it as such, and I distorted the facts a little bit. So I said, so I want to run this program for the children, and it's not a metropolitan school; it's a little country school, and they don't have the opportunities the metropolitan schools do. And we like to run it. We've been running it for many years, but we need some help. She says, I'm in. How much do you need?
Wow.
I said, well, it's a very modest amount. So she gave me the check there and then. And when we did the final contest, I got her to come up to attend with her and a manager from her local office in the area, and I sat them down, and they sat there and were taking photos and whatever, and I got her to come up and present the trophies, but also as a woman, I got her to speak directly to the young girls in there that you can achieve. And I didn't hear from her after for about 4 days, and she sent me an email yesterday, I think it was, to say, I'm sorry, I've been off sick for the last week. I just saw your email. She said, count me in for next year. Let me know how much you want. And I'm thinking, wow, that's fantastic. And that was just by a cold call. Admittedly, I have known her briefly over the many years.
So it's a warm call.
And it just shows how they want to be involved.
Wow. Well, so just to understand, so again, you're looking for trainers to join your movement, and also, of course, corporate sponsors as well, which is just fantastic. Now, love where you're going. We've been here, and I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for watching. If you've come in, like, sharing, if you're watching the replay, please connect with Aileen and Wayne as well. Aileen, I just want to hear some of your closing thoughts, and we'll get some closing thoughts from Wayne. What are some of your closing thoughts and things you love to share with us as we bring this legendary interview to its epic conclusion?
Wayne, closing thoughts.
Well, Ed, I'm a little bit older than Aileen, and I've been in business for many years. And in my 60s, I was constantly being told, what are you going to do when you turn 65? Well, that was many years ago. I'm 73 now. So I'm just now getting reinvigorated by working with the children, and I can do it whenever I want. And if you're thinking of retiring, or you're coming up to it, but you don't have to wait till you retire to do this. If you can afford some time off during the day to go and work in the school for a couple of hours, just do it. Just go for it, because the rewards for your personal growth is tremendous, on top of the rewards you see in the children.
Ah, wonderful. And Aileen, what do you think, Aileen?
Well, everybody wants to make a difference to other people. So you can contribute in terms of 90 minutes of your time. You not only will you personally grow, you will also help other people to grow. And when you help other people to grow, your growth become even more. And it doesn't matter what age. You don't need to have a degree. It's like what I said before. If you have a heart to serve, you can do anything. You can bring your passion, and your passions will define your purpose, which will give you the meaning and the fulfillment you want in life when you see somebody just blossom in front of you.
Wow. Brilliant. Thank you so much, friends. You've heard it. We've got Dr. Alwanda Bennett with us. Good seeing you, Dr. Alwanda. Thank you so much, Wayne. Thank you, Aileen. And friends, please
Thanks,
like,
Ed.
share, and comment. So exciting things ahead. Wayne and Aileen, thank you so much for joining us on this LinkedIn Live.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care and bye, everyone. Love your work, all. Bye, all.